flag. Now, the London Mayor Sadiq Khan says expanding the capital's ultra-low emission zone to all 32 boroughs of London was the most effective tool available to quickly and meaningfully cut air pollution.
Well, a year on, he says it's working better than expected, bringing cleaner air to 5 million more Londoners.
But with ULEZ charges forcing many off the roads and onto the underground, how clean is the air on London's tube? Well, our reporter Ray Addison went to find out.
Transport for London calls it tube dust. A rather whimsical way of describing what's floating around in the air in the 161-year-old underground system. TfL says the dust is a mix of metal particles, most of which are iron oxide, caused by track and wheel wear and braking, organic matter like skin and hair, and mineral dusts.
This air quality monitor measures the number of fine particles per cubic metre. When you breathe them in, they're small enough to go into your lung and even enter your bloodstream, and have been associated with diseases including asthma, lung cancer, and even Alzheimer's. The World Health Organization says breathing an annual average of anything above 5 micrograms isn't safe. Right now, it's 6. So let's go down into the underground and see how polluted it really is.
We carried out tests at more than 10 London Underground stations, finding levels as high as 171 per cubic metre.
I think maybe some improvements need to be done.
Yeah, the tube's horrible. It's just musty and warm and feels dirty. It's just horrible.
Sounds bad, it does. Should be filtered more, I guess.
You can't shut it down, can you? Because you need it. But they should do something about it, yeah.
The Mayor of London's been accused of expanding ULEZ simply to increase revenues, which he denies. However, if he continues to downplay air quality here on London's underground, Londoners can be excused for having their doubts. I think I'll walk home.
Ray Addison, GB News.
Well, Lily Matson, TfL's Chief Safety, Health and Environment Officer, said action is being taken to improve air quality above and below ground in London. Our monitoring shows that dust levels on the tube are well below limits set by the Health and Safety Executive.
TfL's independent monitoring shows that in-station dust levels have reduced by 19% on the tube network since 2020, and dust levels have reduced by 27% in the driver's cab since 2019.
However, she says we're not complacent and have developed a number of innovative new cleaning regimes to reduce dust further.
Well, we're joined now by Sam Diamond, who runs Business Spotlight Sound. Good to see you this morning, Sam. And how has the ULEZ expansion affected you 1 year on?
Yes, morning, and thanks for having me on. It's definitely made a difference to us and our business in terms of our costs and how we think about how we get in and out of the city, in and out of London altogether, really. We've had to invest in new vehicles. We have to plan our routes more time, more money spent on planning these sorts of works, which is not always something that we can absorb, and those costs have to get passed on.
So what impact is that having on your profit margins and as you say, your cost to customers?
Sure. I mean, it's more expensive now to work in London, so we have to pass those costs on. We predominantly work in the hospitality sector, so installing into pubs, bars, clubs, restaurants, those sorts of sectors. So if our costs go up, their costs go up. It makes it more expensive for the public to go out and eat, drink, and enjoy those settings.
It's interesting, isn't it? You've probably just listened to that report from Ray Addison, our reporter there, talking about people being forced onto the tubes as they're not able to drive around London anymore because of the ULEZ expansion. That's not an option for you, is it, for you and your business? You have to stick to the roads.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I think this ULEZ cost feels even more like another tax on business. Really, a commercial setting, we can't get on a bike, get on a tube, walk around the city. We need vehicles, we need tools, we need equipment. The electric market for commercial vehicles is still not there, and so we don't have a choice. We've had to just suck it up and go with it, which does seem unfair.
In terms of what could have been done, I mean, commercial vehicles, I mean, there's been arguments from some to make them exempt, but I guess the argument against that would be they could perhaps be some of the most polluting.
Sure, yeah, I understand that, and I'm all for reducing the emissions and improving the air quality. But like your intro showed, do we really want to be pushing people down onto the tube when the levels there are actually far worse than out on the street? Yes, for us as a business, we don't have a choice. We need to be on the road, and we need to be moving equipment and people about, and we can't do that on public transport.
Do you get a sense, Sam, when you're driving around London in your van, do you get a sense that the roads are quieter? Is ULEZ working in that sense, pushing more vehicles off the road?
Not at all. Absolutely not. I think it's busier than ever. It's really difficult to work in London. It takes a lot of time. You spend a lot of time in traffic. But parking also an absolute nightmare in London. So I can't see. I mean, I have no data, but I can't see that it's got quieter on the roads at all.
In terms of your business, I mean, you said prices have gone up as a result. I mean, do you know of, or can you imagine, because of the price differential now, will this have forced people out of business?
Yeah, I mean, one of our biggest, a lot of our work is pubs. We're installing sound and lighting equipment into pubs. Our costs go up, their costs go up, so the price you pay for a pint goes up. We see record numbers of pubs closing every single year. So it can't be a coincidence that these costs are going up, and it's more expensive for you to go out and enjoy a pint. It's the costs are going up, and that puts the cost of living up, the cost of going out. So it can't be. It's not a coincidence that these places are closing.
Sam, there's a suggestion in some of the papers today that there could be a 5p a litre rise in fuel duty in the budget in October. It's something that the Chancellor is reportedly thinking about. How does that make you feel as a business owner who relies on getting around in your vehicles?
Again, where's the other option? They keep putting the costs up for us to say to get into electric vehicles, get into public transport, but there is no option for that for us as a tradesperson, as somebody that needs tools and means to move. We don't have a choice. So yeah, it's another cost. It's more expense that's going to go up, and ultimately at the end of the chain, it gets passed on to the customer, onto the end user. So the people's cost of living carries on rising.
Yeah, Sam, really good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Well, you've got to bear all that. This is what I don't understand with the current thing, because, and I know I'll go on about it, but the big argument from Labour was, we'll make the economy work by growing the economy. Other bits and bobs around it, but it's growing the economy, which everybody wants to do, of course. But if you're putting all these costs up, then the economy won't grow.
Yeah.
So you've got to add to that. How would it work?
And I think it's a really good point for people outside of London as well on the fuel duty. I mean, people who are running businesses, there's not the public transport there in order to get on a bus or get on a train.
No, and if you're
or to walk, you rely on your car to make ends meet. That's often the way that you get to work.
And
so
if you're a plumber, painter and decorator, a roofer, I mean, you've got to have transport. And as Sam quite rightly said, electric vehicles, all well and good, there aren't that many options for electric commercial vehicles yet. And we all know that they tend to be very, very expensive at the moment. The more people get them, of course, the more they'll come down in price. We'll all have to do it eventually. But at the moment, very, very expensive. People can't afford to do it.
No, and the infrastructure's not there either, is it? To charge electric vehicles, so you certainly couldn't rely on that if you were a tradie and driving around.
So one thing I don't understand with electric vehicles, and I'm not anti them at all. I quite fancy one, actually. However, if you live in a terrace street, for example, and you haven't got, therefore you can't have your own charging point fitted on the house. It's not going to be practical. Then what do you do at night? You can't charge your vehicle at night
or a block of flats, same thing.
Or a block of flats,
Can't do it.
So I don't know quite how people are meant to actually manage it.
Well, at the moment, it's only really an option for wealthy people, isn't it? They're very expensive to start with, and you'd need to be able to access your own charger.
Yeah, they are very, very expensive.
Let us know what you think. That'll get you talking this morning. gbnews.com/yoursay.